Why you'll never truly own anything again. You don't own your phone. You don't own your car. You don't even fully own the things you've already paid for. And soon, you might not own anything at all. That's not a conspiracy. It's a business model. Because over the last decade, something fundamental has quietly changed in the global economy. Companies stopped trying to sell you products and started trying to rent you your entire life. Not just software, not just entertainment, everything. Your car features, your home, your access to basic tools, even your ability to use the things you already bought. And the reason is simple: ownership is bad for business. But control is everything. For most of modern history, the deal was simple. You pay once, you own it. A car, a house, a CD, a piece of software. That ownership gave you something powerful. Control, permanence, independence. If you bought a car, it was yours. If you bought a movie, you could watch it whenever you wanted. If you bought software, it didn't disappear overnight. Ownership meant security. It meant that no one could take it away from you just because you stopped paying. But companies realized something. That model has a fatal flaw. It ends. Once you buy something, the company stops making money from you. There's no recurring revenue, no ongoing relationship, no leverage. So they asked a different question. What if the transaction never ended? What if instead of selling you a product, they kept you inside a system? The first industry to fully answer that question was software. Companies like Adobe and Microsoft didn't just tweak pricing, they rewrote the model. Software used to be something you bought once. You'd install it. You'd own that version forever. Now, you subscribe. Monthly, yearly, indefinitely. Stop paying, and it's gone. Not degraded, not limited. Gone. This created something incredibly powerful for companies. Instead of selling a $300 product once, they could charge $20 a month forever. Over time, that customer becomes worth far more. But there's something deeper here. Subscriptions don't just increase revenue, they increase control. Because when access is tied to payment, your autonomy disappears. The company decides when you can use the product, how you can use it, whether you can use it at all. They can update it, restrict it, or remove features entirely. You don't own the tool anymore. You're dependent on it. And Wall Street loves this model. Because predictable revenue streams make companies more valuable, more stable, and easier to scale. So naturally, the model spread. Next came the physical world. And this is where things start to feel different. Because it's one thing to rent software. It's another thing entirely to rent something you can physically touch. Cars used to represent freedom. You buy it, it's yours. That idea is changing. Companies like BMW have already tested subscription-based features. Heated seats, steering wheel heating, advanced driver functions, all physically installed in the car, but locked behind a paywall. You're not paying for installation. You're paying for permission. That's a massive shift, because it separates ownership from functionality. You can own the object but not control what it does. And as cars become more connected, more software-driven, this only accelerates. Over-the-air updates mean manufacturers can change your car after you buy it. Features can be added, or removed, or restricted. Imagine a future where performance upgrades are monthly subscriptions, speed limits are remotely enforced, features are tiered like Netflix plans. At that point, what do you actually own? A shell? A device? Or just access? Now look at entertainment. This transformation is already complete. You used to build libraries, music collections, movie shelves, things you owned. Now everything lives on platforms like Spotify and Netflix. You don't buy music anymore. You subscribe to it. You don't buy movies. You stream them. And it feels convenient. But there's a trade-off. You don't control anything. Content disappears all the time. Shows get removed. Songs get taken down. Entire catalogs shift overnight. And when that happens, there's nothing you can do, because you don't own it. Even when platforms let you buy digital content, it's often just a license. A revocable license. That means It can be restricted, it can be removed, it can be altered, and this has already happened. Users have lost access to purchased movies or shows because of licensing disputes between companies. So the idea of buying something digitally is often an illusion. You're paying for access, not ownership. Now extend that idea further, from products to infrastructure. Because the biggest shift isn't happening in software or cars or media, it's happening in housing. Large firms like BlackRock and Blackstone have been increasing their presence in residential real estate, buying single-family homes, apartment complexes, entire neighborhoods, not to sell, to rent. Because renting is the ultimate subscription model. It never ends. You pay every month, and you never gain ownership. From a financial perspective, it's ideal. Recurring income, asset appreciation, long-term tenants. But from an individual perspective, it changes everything. Homeownership used to be one of the primary ways people built wealth and independence. Now it's becoming less accessible. Prices rise faster than incomes. Inventory gets tighter. More homes are held as long-term rental assets. And as more people rent, they enter a system where payments are permanent, control is limited, stability is conditional. It's the same model as software, but now applied to where you live. And this pattern doesn't stop there. It expands into everything. Tools, devices, even basic functionality. Phones are increasingly locked ecosystems. You don't fully control what you install, how you use it, or how long it lasts. Right to repair becomes restricted. Devices become harder to fix, easier to replace. And when you replace instead of repair, you stay inside the system. Agriculture equipment, consumer electronics, even appliances, all moving toward controlled access, restricted repair, and ecosystem lock-in. Because once you're locked in, you're predictable. So why is this happening everywhere at once? Because the incentive structure has changed. The modern economy is no longer built around transactions. It's built around relationships. Long-term, monetized relationships. Companies don't want customers. They want subscribers. They want predictable behavior, predictable revenue, predictable dependence. Because that's what maximizes valuation. That's what drives stock prices. That's what attracts capital. And once one company shifts to this model, competitors have no choice. They follow, or they fall behind. So over time, the entire system converges in one direction: less ownership, more access, more control at the top, more dependence at the bottom. And the most important part? This transition doesn't feel forced. It feels convenient. Subscriptions are easy. Streaming is easier than downloading. Leasing feels more flexible than buying. Everything is frictionless, until you look closer. Because convenience has a cost, and that cost is control. So where does this lead? A world where you don't own your tools. You don't own your media. You don't fully control your car. And fewer people own their homes. Instead, you subscribe to everything. Your life becomes a series of recurring payments. Access replaces ownership. Control shifts upward. And dependence becomes normal. Not because people chose it directly, but because the system evolved that way. And the most unsettling part? Most people won't even realize it's happening. Because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually. One subscription at a time. One convenience at a time. One locked feature at a time. Until one day, you stop and realize you're paying for everything. Every month. Forever. And you don't actually own any of it. And by then, there's no alternative left.